I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you today. How are you doing?
I'm good. So nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time.
Um, so BAFTA Breakthrough. What was your first reaction when you realized you were going to be part of the cohort for this year?
I think when you're making films independently, you're used to so many no's. That's the thing. You kind of get into a place where you're just like, oh, that's really sad. And then I reread the email and I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's such an honor to be invited into the BAFTA family. Obviously every filmmaker kind of dreams of BAFTA at some point in their life. And I think filmmaking is such a collaborative art, and the opportunity to kind of meet more people who love film is just the most exciting thing. So yeah, I'm really, really delighted to be a part of it.
And what do you think it's going to mean for your career? Because I guess it's sort of twofold. It's the recognition of the work that you've already done, and obviously, the fact that the sort of criteria are someone who's doing on the cusp of greatness, doing something really groundbreaking. So that's probably very vindicating for what you've done so far. But also looking ahead, having that support from the industry, the peers that you'll be alongside, the press and media that might come along with it. So, what do you think it can mean for your career?
Creating work is such a kind of fragile thing. It's like very hard to do. It can be kind of snuffed out at any moment. And I think having the kind of BAFTA breakthrough approval is confidence, It's like wind in your sails. It's the thing to be like, keep going, don't give up. I'm already like embarking on my next project, and it's a lot more ambitious than my last film. And I think probably part of that is because I feel excited about the fact that I now can reach out to other people and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and find the right collaborators to kind of bring something quite ambitious to life. So I think it's really about yeah, like the encouragement to keep going and have the confidence to kind of tell the stories that you want to tell and make them with people who can like give you the best chance of bringing this thing to life in the way that you hope and dream.
And do you think that, initiatives like this, are still really important? Because as much as we might like to think that there's a sort of level playing field out there, whether we're talking about sort of, people from different backgrounds and people of different genders or sexual orientation. The truth is we're not really there yet. So I guess anything that can help to bring people to the fore, get people the support they need, get them access to those bigger pots of funding, can only be a good thing.
Definitely. I would completely agree. Yeah, we're definitely not in a place where there's a level playing field yet. And all the support that you can get is most appreciated. And obviously these are the kind of biggest of giants to stand behind you and help you on your way. And it's so appreciated. Yeah.
And sort of diving into your work, obviously you had a few shorts, but if the streets were on fire, obviously your feature documentary. So maybe casting your mind back, what was the inspiration behind that project, and why did you want to make that film?
Like I'm an avid cyclist. I ride everywhere. I'm like obsessed with bikes, and these kids are obsessed with bikes. Bike life is like a way of life. It's a culture. I met them all through riding, and I just fell in love with them because they can obviously do these incredible things with their bikes that are so impressive to me. When I kind of, the more I hung out with them, then I started to realize there was this kind of like political aspect to it around the fact that they ride under the hashtag knives down bikes up. I guess sort of seeing what's happened in our country, in 2008 we had the financial crash. Everything was decimated in terms of support services, and as a result we then see this kind of year on year consecutive rise in knife crime. From a political viewpoint, it was like in the media we just see all of these images of young people as being like thugs, wearing hoodies, wielding knives, like senseless violence. And it was just like, I met this community who are caught up in this, rising youth violence epidemic. And I just thought that they were the most incredible community of young people with hearts, with futures. But they really, unfortunately, had been dealt this terrible hand in life and had been growing up in an environment of like thriving violence and inequality. And so I really wanted to make a film that kind of challenged the stereotypes of how we see young people, raise these young people up, and show how something as simple as a bike can really give a very like meaningful, tangible moment of freedom. And so I guess the ultimate thing was just I wanted to remind people that like behind kids in hoods, behind these stereotypes are beautiful young people that have had a really difficult start to life, and we should be more kind and generous. And I think ultimately that's been the really rewarding thing about seeing the film go out into the world, is that I've had people message me, be like, oh, I used to see these kids on bikes, I used to just think they were thugs or whatever. And now when I see them, I'm going to like beep my horn, I'm going to cheer them on. And I've had lots of kind of messages like that. So that feels really amazing, knowing that now, other people have been introduced to this community and will see them in a different light.
And I guess seeing the life that, the film has had, being at the London Film Festival and then awards, from the BIFAs. Also, being there on BBC iPlayer. I mean, what has all that meant to you? And I guess it's both having the sort of critical acclaim, but also, like you said, reaching audiences and having the film have that kind of impact and connect with people in that way.
I honestly couldn't have imagined the journey. I know filmmakers say that sometimes, but I started out, this was just such a like blundering forward into the darkness. I just was kind of making this film like piece by piece as I went along, and I honestly, I finished it and I was just like, I'm done. And then I was like, oh, there's the whole release. This is just end of part one. I hadn't thought about part two at all. So then that was like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here? And yeah, like London Film Festival, having our premiere there in the city with all the kids, with their families, with my friends and community, was the proudest moment in my life. The kids coming up to me afterwards saying like, this film has changed our lives. Mac and Miles saying that, And then, yeah, getting BBC Storyville on board obviously is like such an incredible honor, and like there's so few spots, so for them to choose our film, and particularly because the BBC audience is exactly who we wanted to reach with the film, and then kind of, yeah, going on to win at the BIFAs, which again was just mind-blowing, and to have that kind of industry support and love and appreciation is so, yeah, so appreciate. I honestly couldn't. I still kind of am pinching myself and just being like, wow, we got really lucky, we had such a good run. And I'm just, yeah, it's amazing to know that the film connected with people in the way that I had hoped that it would.
You said you're already kind of working on your next project, so what do you think that's going to be? And then I guess more long term, where do you see yourself, and particularly having this BAFTA breakthrough behind you as well? Where do you think it can lead you?
Well, I think I've always been really interested in nonfiction that kind of pushes the boundaries of the art form, that maybe blurs it a bit with fiction. And yeah, I'm kind of developing something at the moment that is definitely much more ambitious in scope in terms of the kind of cinematic world that we enter and the way that it's going to use the tools of cinema to tell a story, which I'm very excited about. And I'm hoping being a part of this scheme will help me kind of realize that. But I think also, I am very interested in fiction as well. I mean, obviously, all filmmakers say that. I'm really interested in this blend between non-fiction and fiction. And I guess I hope that over the next year, I'm going to meet more collaborators, and just great minds who you can kind of talk to about these ideas when they're so kind of fragile and small, and you just need someone to kind of blow a bit of wind into your sails, and also just kind of like maybe help you develop an idea, help you kind of grow it. Yeah, I want to keep making films, that's the thing. I love films. I think it's an incredible privilege and opportunity to tell stories, and I really hope that I can make many more films over the years.
Do you have an idol? Is there another filmmaker that you really look up to that you'd like to?
So many, honestly, so many in the melting pot, but I absolutely adore Lynne Ramsay and Andrea Arnold. I think their films are just extraordinary. The poetry, the rawness, the journeys that they take you on, the worlds that they enter you into. I think, as a woman, it's also really inspiring to kind of see them and the trailblazing work that they do. So yeah, I'm always keeping an eye on what they're up to, and very excited when I hear that they have another film coming out, because I'm going to see it as soon as possible.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with me, and huge congratulations. Can't wait to see what you do next. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Lovely to meet you. Take care.